have Dr. Austin Tam-George joining us. He is a former Commissioner for Information in Rivers State and a senior executive at Harvard. Right? Did I get it correctly?
Former senior executive.
Yes, former senior executive at Harvard. Dr. Tam-George, you're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you.
Yeah.
You are from Rivers State. You are a former Commissioner of Information in Rivers State. In fact, you worked with the former governor, Nyesom Wike, and now FCT minister. When you watch, the turn of events in the last couple of months, I wonder how it makes you feel, particularly because of the implications for governance at the grassroots, and how this will pan out eventually. Professor Adibi was talking about the president's statement being political, which is not focused on 2027. What will be the test of that statement at the end of this month, when local government local government funds would need to be transferred to the account of local government directly? Would you see statesmanship or another round of litigation?
Well, first of all, you made reference to me serving in the administration of Nyesom Wike, who is now the FCT minister. I'm very disappointed in what the minister is doing. He's the one orchestrating this. He's the one who has set forth, a process to destabilize the state. I was Commissioner for Information in the previous administration. And so I'm highly disappointed in the minister. What I expected him to do was to, focus on his mandate. He's got a clear administrative mandate in the FCT. FCT has one of the worst public schools in Nigeria. He has a full plate there, in order to deliver service, but he's not doing that. Instead, he's focusing on how to destabilize Rivers State. And obviously, the Rivers people are going to resist him at every turn. What I expected, the FCT minister to do was to say, look, I've had my time in government, now I've got to focus on what I have in Abuja. But concerning what is happening now, going forward in terms of the local government elections. The elections were very peaceful on Saturday. All the 23 local government areas, the LGAs, the LGA chairmen have now been sworn in by the governor. Starting from today, I expect them to go to the councils, set an agenda for development, because the rural areas in Rivers State have long been abandoned, for so many decades. Now we have a chance where the Supreme Court itself has given a judgment classifying, recognizing the LGAs as politically and financially autonomous tiers of government. So what this means is that in addition to the powers that the LGA chairpersons now have, we are going to look for how they can establish corresponding structures of accountability to make sure that the resources that are then deployed to these LGAs are properly used. That's one part. The second part is that they need to have a service delivery agenda, because, there has been a disproportionate attention on just the politics of it. What about the actual service delivery component of it? That has never been in the discussion, unfortunately, over the past few decades. So what we need to see now is a clear developmental agenda that will be led by the governor. In fact, I expect the governor to have a quick retreat with the LGA chairmen, chairpersons who have just been elected, to say, look, this is the focus. Is it in terms of healthcare delivery system? In Rivers State, healthcare delivery system was abandoned for 8 years. I'm saying this because I was there. I was in the government. What about the states? The governor found out as he came into office that a lot of the schools in Rivers State do not have teachers. So what this means is that, in primary and secondary schools, the governor will have to work with the LGA chairpersons to make sure.
Under this current administration,
yes,
a lot of the teachers, schools do not have teachers.
Yes,
despite the huge investment in infrastructure under the past administration.
Yes, under the past administration of Nyesom Wike. So what the governor is doing now is to try to recalibrate the system to make sure that he brings effective, administration to the state. So for God's sake, let us allow Governor Fubara to do his work. Now that we have democratic structures in the LGAs, let them work with the governor and deliver service to over 8 million people who are resident in Rivers State. We do not have time for distractions, and I'm fully in support of the governor, so that he can deliver service to the people.
do you worry for the funds of local governments in Rivers State that they may not be transferred due to the many litigations?
No, I have no worries at all. I mean, the elections have been conducted, the chairpersons have been sworn in, they are now democratically elected, which is a major fulfillment of, the Constitution. If you have any reservations about the elections that have just been conducted, there is an adjudicatory process that you can take advantage of. You go to court and litigate it. Rivers State has the High Court, so you litigate it. I suspect that in the coming days, maybe, the panel will be set up, for any litigations or complaints about the process. So you follow due process and litigate it. While the litigation is going on, the business of administration of the state and all the LGAs must go on. So I expect...
But what would happen if those funds are merged in litigation?
No litigation can stop allocation to local governments. This is a statutorily clear matter. The local governments, the states will have to receive their allocations as normal. If you have any doubts concerning the legitimacy of the electoral process, however, follow the adjudicatory process, litigate it, and let the decision be made by the courts.
So what would be the options be for Governor Fubara if those funds are withheld?
The funds cannot legally be withheld, in my opinion, because the elections have been conducted. The local government chairpersons have been sworn in. The requirements for a democratic system has been established. So there is no basis in law for anyone, to withhold the funds. But I recognize that there is a desperation on the part of the FCT minister to try to, first of all, create conditions for the declaration of a state of emergency, which has not succeeded so far because there are no conditions. Now, secondly, I expect them to, send, all kinds of frivolous petitions to the federal government to try to withhold funds. That would be manifestly illegal because there is no basis for that. So I believe that the allocations will continue to be, made to the state government and to the local government area so that they can deliver service to the people. You can't withhold funds because of the feelings of a single individual. It will be manifestly illegal for the federal government to do that. And I suspect that no federal government responsible, enough, and caring enough for the welfare of the people will withhold funds, which means that civil servants will not be paid, developmental projects will not be executed. That would be a manifestly legal thing to do. I don't think the federal government will do that.
Well, the coming days will prove, a test for that situation. But Dr. Tam-George, you have worked with former Governor Wike and now FCT Minister in the past, and I recall that you resigned your appointment, somewhere down the line, I think during the first tenure. Am I correct?
Yes.
Now, Governor Bala Mohammed, who witnessed the swearing-in, said on Sunday, that was yesterday, that of course measures for reconciliation will be explored, that you cannot throw away the baby with the bathwater. Those were his words. And he says that because, of course, the current governor and the former governor have come a long way. From your experience working with former Governor Wike, what would you project to be the outcome of efforts of reconciliation, which would not be the first, by the way?
Well, look, to be honest, Nyesom Wike is not a rational actor. He's an autocrat. He's either his way or the highway. So if you are talking about reconciliation, I suspect that what Bala Mohammed must be referring to is to suggest that this is somehow a personal problem. This is not a personal problem between for the FCT minister and the governor. What I think, is unfortunate is that the media has somehow characterized this as a personal problem. I don't see it as a personal difference. What I see is that there is a struggle between wish of the former governor, the FCT minister now, to control the state, versus, the governor Fubara trying to make sure that, the sovereignty of the rivers people prevails. So it's not really a personal difference. I see it more as an ideological tussle, whether one person will control the state or whether the people themselves will control the state. I don't see how you can reconcile this because the governor has already set an agenda that revolves around the ideology of Rivers people first. So if the FCT minister wants to work with the governor, it should be around the notion of service delivery to the people, recognizing the sovereignty of the people, making sure that resources meant for Rivers State are used for the development of Rivers State. This is what the governor's agenda is. So if they are talking about reconciliation, it has to be the FCT minister accepting that the people's wish in Rivers State must prevail. So it's not really a personal difference. I see it more as an ideological difference, whether the will of the Rivers people will continue or not. Now, another point, that has always, dominated conversations around this issue is about political structures. As you said, I served in the previous administration. The previous administration failed. I personally resigned from the administration because I had fundamental objections about public policy, about the direction of the state under the Wike administration. For instance, we had the highest number of out-of-school children in the South because teachers were not paid for 8 years. Throughout the 8 years Nyesom Wike was in government, pensioners were not paid. Gratuities were not paid. So what kind of structure is this? For me, it was a criminal structure that had no responsibility to the people at all. Now, what is happening is that the governor has rejected this ideology of privatization of the state capture, and he is saying that, look, we must begin now to use resources responsibly in a way that will benefit the people. He's now paying gratuities, he's now paying pensions, he's recalibrating the schools, he's making sure their healthcare delivery system is getting to the people, and now with the institution of the local government structures, what he's doing is to make sure he drives development to the local rural areas through the LGAs. So what is happening is actually a complete, rethinking of our public administration in Rivers State, and I'm very proud of what the governor is doing right now.
And Dr. Tam-George, I urge you to be temperate in some of your choice of words. Criminal structure, irrational.
No, I mean, if you don't,
strong.
Yeah, no, look.
And I recall that, initially, when you first exited the administration, you had been more, economical with words about the reasons for your exit. Does it now seem, correct me if I'm wrong, but does it now seem as if you're now taking a position, a categorical position, because of the turn of events in Rivers State, and now you would rather be open about the character of the person that you
look, I was in the system and I made it very clear that we can't continue like this. We had over 1,000 students abroad and in Nigeria who were on government scholarships. The governor decided to defund the state scholarship board, abandon the students abroad, and some of these students who were medical students became janitors in Europe, the US and the Caribbean. A lot of these students were abandoned. So I couldn't accept this. I didn't go to government to serve myself. We went into government with the agreement that we are going to deliver service to the people, and I decided to resign. And my positions were very clear, to both the governor then, and my positions have always been in the public domain. So now I feel very strongly about what is happening, because the governor now, Governor Fubara, has made it clear he will not continue like that, and that we need to make sure there is development in Rivers State. We have one of the highest unemployment rates in the country. For a country for a state with our kind of resource profile, we can't possibly allow that to continue. The past 8 years were wasted years, and the governor has made it very clear we cannot continue on that trajectory, and I think we should support him.